Hello, everybody. We are back and we are live in the Writing Community Chat Show, Friday night chat show. And it's fantastic to be back after such a great show on Wednesday. Luca Veste was on. Fabulous show. Mr. Hooley is back into the stairs. How are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. In my comfy place on a Friday night. Where better to be than under the stairs?
Do you know what? I am super happy that it's Friday this week. It seemed to be a long week. I thought we hit Wednesday. We had the Wednesday show on. And I thought, oh, yes, we made it to the last couple of days. But then even the Thursday, Friday was kind of long. And I was like, just need the show tonight. Need to get there. But we're here. We made it. And I couldn't be happier. So it's a great start to the weekend. And we're very much going to confuse you all soon. Because there's, as you might have seen on the Twitter, our guest tonight is also called Chris. So there's 3 Chris's in the house tonight, which is fantastic. We'll have to mark that down somewhere, like,
yeah, the first of the 3 Chris's. It's never happened before, but I'm glad it's happening. And he's such a great author as well. So everyone's in for an absolute treat.
So, of course, we start the show with our book sponsor, which is an opportunity for someone who's an author in the writing community, which is what we do this show for. If you haven't seen this before, to sponsor the show with their book, and we'll talk about it. We'll talk about what it is and put the book up in the top corner. So thank you for this today. And our Be a Token book promotion sponsor today is someone with a fantastic cover, by the way, and a story that sounds fantastic as well. So let me show you the cover there. Empire's Daughter. I read that wrong. Every journey begins with choice. And that, I will tell you, is, if you look at the bottom of the screen now, tonight's Be a Token book promotion is from Marianne Thorpe, at Marianne Thorpe on Twitter. Her book, Empire. I said again, Empire's Daughter. It's a novel.
That's the sequel. Forget about that.
Yeah, of an alternative dark age. It's got 4.7 out of 5 ratings, 19 ratings, and it's available on paperback and Kindle. And I kind of just completely messed that up, didn't I? Lena never planned to be a soldier. Her simple life as a fisherwoman was almost enough for her. But when the Emperor asks women to set aside generations of tradition to learn to fight, she accepts. And I think that sounds awesome. And the review for that, a beautifully crafted and powerful novel, one that I'm sure has been meticulously researched and feels historically accurate. I felt the Empire, its way of life, and tradition, and that genuinely sounds fantastic. So please, I will pop that book up in the corner. Please take the time to go and have a look at that. And if you do like the sound of it, give it a little purchase, because it helps the show. And, support the authors to support the show, Chris.
Most definitely. Yeah, it looks nice. I like it.
It does indeed. Cool. Right. So should we get on with bring the guest on and get on with this show tonight?
We should indeed, because 3 Chris's is better than 2.
I'm excited. And, we were about to find out what happens when we put 3 Chris's on the stream. Could explode. I don't think it will. But so tonight's guest, the author of Whispers in the Dark and A Wash of Black, and soon to be released, The Curious Dispatch of Daniel Costello, is Chris McDonald. Hello to you, sir.
Hello, how are we?
We're very well, and like I said, we're very happy to be here on Friday, and people in the chat are saying, Chris, Chrisology. I think people are impressed with the Chris's.
I'm already confused, because watching your introduction, you said something to Chris and I went to answer, so it could go badly this.
Our most favorited parts of the show, I think, are the parts that go badly, so completely roll with it. How are you doing today, and how's your week been? We've asked the other Chris, so how's your week been?
It's been okay. Yeah, it's been we're counting down to Christmas at school, so it's becoming a bit and it's been assessment week, so it's been a strange week with like tests in the morning, really strict, you have to be quiet, sing louder in the afternoon. So yeah, it's been very, very strange. But I'm so pleased it's Friday.
Yeah, that must be good motivation. Be quiet as possible, be silent, and then you can let it all out in the afternoon. Do what you want.
They don't know whether they're coming or going by Wednesday, though. It's like, what am I? Where am I? What am I doing? So yeah, I'm so
kids just come in shouting.
Santa Claus! No.
Yeah, not yet. In the afternoon, I've got to assess your skills.
Yeah.
Chris, other Chris is either frozen or he's just enjoying the Christmas right now.
Yeah, he looked like he was loving it, but it's he's back.
I just completely lost on my screens, and this is fantastic to start the show. And you were still talking, I believe.
Yeah, we were just saying how you were overwhelmed by the Christmas or computer-wise.
I think it must be the Chris's, and the fact that you said Christmas straight after saying Chris a few times. It kind of so I don't know what's going on. But anyway, so Chris McDonald, you're the author of soon to be 3 books.
Yes.
And the 2 that you've recently released were in the same year as well. So that's kind of interesting to put them, sort of closely together. But for the people that are watching that don't know your work and might want to sort of get on top of that before we go deeper into the backstory, can you just explain what your latest story is? Not your new one, and we'll talk about it later, but like the stories you've released this year, what they're about, please.
Yeah, so they're sort of police procedural novels with the main detectives called Erika Piper, and they're set in Manchester, and they sort of follow her, and it's fairly straight up crime with a bit of her sort of personal life backstory, things like that going through it as well. But I just quite like a detective with not too much baggage, and they're only about 250 odd pages, so they're quite short and snappy. So yeah, I think they're fun and they've gone down quite well. So yeah, I've been really, really pleased with the reception they've got. Especially people in Manchester seem to love them. And then it got out that I was a Liverpool fan, so there was like a big horde of Liverpool purchasers. So yeah, it's nice to connect with them.
Chris, why would that be? Is it to do with crime?
No, I mean, Chris's books are so vivid, and obviously they're set in Manchester, and being from Manchester, you can see the places when you're reading the books, you can see and picture the streets, and you almost kind of make connections because you've got references to gangs and stuff like that, and you think, oh, is this based on this, and is this based on this? So for someone who's living in the city, I think it's particularly vivid. I mean, obviously you would enjoy it if you're not from Manchester, but I think if you are from Manchester, you do have another level of appreciation for Chris's writing.
Just talk about your latest book at the moment, which is A Wash of Black. This review that I picked out. Sorry, apologies. Both the same thing. Author of Whispers in the Dark was the first sentence. So this book made me shout, swear, cry, and smile, but I absolutely loved it. I'm very much looking forward to more books by this author. He's a natural storyteller. It's a fantastic review, and you kind of won the bingo game there because you ticked every single box. That must be kind of a nice review to get, and does that sort of inspire you to want to get that next book out there as well?
Yeah, it's I think the first one, I mean, I'm sort of obsessed with reviews, and I know some authors don't look at them and stuff, but I check every single day where I am in the Amazon, right? So yeah, so I absolutely, it just blows my mind that people have taken time out of their day, first of all, to read the book, but then to say such nice things about it. I think for Numbers very like every author, and I'm sure you've found this as well, the learning curve one where you're writing it sort of in the dark. You don't know if it's going to be good. I intended to put it out on Kindle direct publishing just because I wanted to design a book cover. That was like my main aim. And I'm so glad Sean from Red Dog took it on because he's done an infinitely better job. But I just think with the second one, you found your feet, from the sort of first lot of edits from the first book, what not to do. And I think, the characters a lot more. So it's easier to sort of write and get into their heads and things like that. So yeah, that review, is that for the second one by any chance?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, there's sort of more drama in it, I think, with regard, like the case is sort of going on, but then there's sort of extra stuff, and I think that sort of resonated with a lot of people, which is quite nice.
So as someone that was looking at releasing the book at Kindle self-publishing, which is a lot of people that listen and watch this show, including myself and Chris 1, 2, or 3 have done. How did that transform from, okay, this is what I'm going to do, to being picked up by a publisher? And was that something that was a conscious decision, or did it just kind of appeared in front of you?
Yeah, well, the whole way through writing it, that was my thing, because like I say, I wanted to sort of have ownership of it. And then when I started getting towards the end, I kind of thought, well, I'll have a go at sort of a few indies, and because I quite like the, and I obviously didn't know this beforehand, but I kind of assumed that a smaller company could let you be more collaborative in a way. I quite like that. And once I talked to Sean, I put it out to about 3 or 4, and I chatted to one slightly bigger one, and I sort of felt from that first conversation that she didn't quite get what I was trying to do. And then the first conversation with Sean, it was like, yeah, you kind of feel like that spark, and it sounds like first dates, but we sort of hit it off, and it was he was, when it came to the covers, which I know I keep going on about, but he sort of asked me to send him what kind of thing I like from books that were out at the minute, and we sort of came up with it together. So I think the Kindle Direct Publishing thing is such an amazing thing, because it's a way of getting your story out, and you've got full ownership of it, which I think is really important. But yeah, I think Sean has done such a good job, because there were things in the manuscript that I probably wouldn't have paid for an editor, because, money's tight and stuff. So it would have gone out, and there were so many things that he's like, this character doesn't appear again, and he's pretty, so there was so many things I had to go back, and without another eye on it, it would have been dreadful.
So talking about your covers, Chris, I can see from being a bit nosy and looking around your house, your covers are actually on your wall.
Yeah.
So talk us through that process and how you managed to get those covers, and like how much you were involved and stuff.
Oh, he's muted himself.
Yeah, you've muted yourself.
Professional as ever. Move my mouse. Yeah, Sean got me those for publication day. With the first one, A Wash of Black, it went through a few different ones, because he was trying to make the story sort of marry up with the title, and it doesn't. It sort of is interlinked, but I just thought it's quite a nice title. But the first one sort of looked a bit young adult, but I loved it. And then the next one came through, and I loved it too. And then this one came through, and he just sort of said I was really pleased with it, and I would have gone with any of them because I thought they were all great. But he just kept saying it doesn't really fit with the story, and it doesn't link well. So he was kind of the driving force behind just making it better and better. And then the second one he just nailed straight away.
So we didn't know that you were going to drop a cover today, and you had a cover reveal for book 3, which is amazing, by the way. And looking at the first 2 books and reading the first 2 books, they remind me very much of the sort of Elmore Leonard type style, of that sort of crime writer and that sort of similar story. And then you've got this 3rd book that's coming out, and it looks very much Sherlock Holmesy from the front cover. Is that a conscious decision? Is that sort of an area you're trying to explore now?
Yeah, well, it's a brand new series. It's they're sort of cozy crimes, and they're only they're novellas, so it's only, I think, 94 pages. It's so much more lighthearted, and it's about these 2 sort of 20-something. One's working in a retirement home, and one is a layabout on the sofa. And they sort of think they're obsessed with Sherlock and all this sort of Netflix detective shows, and their friend dies at a wedding weekend. He was due to be the best man, and the police put it down to choking on his own vomit when he drank too much. But these 2 boys think something isn't adding up here, so they sort of convince themselves, talk themselves into solving it. So it's just they're short, and they're so much more snappy, and not that the other ones aren't fun, but like people are getting their throats slit and heads bashed in and stuff, whereas this is very much more just a bit of fun, really. So yeah, I've really enjoyed writing it.
Yeah. So Matt, that kind of ties into my question that I was going to ask it. In the first 2 books, you challenged some really hard hitting topics. Suicide and stuff is referenced, and how do you tackle that as a writer? How do you go about challenging yourself to write about that sort of thing?
That's a really good question. I think the second one, the first one I kind of tried to write as a straight up, people dying, trying to solve it. The second one, I think from what I've been reading, I kind of realized that actually the good ones have a deeper something going on. And the guy, Scott Hutchinson from the band Frightened Rabbit, he committed suicide a couple of years ago. I love that band, and it kind of hit me quite hard. So when the sort of story came into my head, I thought, first of all, should I do it? Because, like you say, it's hard hitting. It affects people in different ways. And I sort of didn't want to, reading's an escape, and I didn't want them thinking, well, I know someone that's done this, or this is, it's affecting me. But I sort of thought, if you don't take a risk or sort of grow as a writer, then what's the point almost? So I decided to go for it, and luckily people have said it's sort of handled sensitively, and I think I've sort of done that okay.
Yeah.
I imagine pretty much every topic under the sun has been someone will be affected by. So it's kind of it's a tricky thing to do, but if you're aware of that in the first place and you've tread carefully, I guess, then you shouldn't have anything to worry about. And obviously it's been received very well anyway. We got some really good questions in. We normally have a few in, but we've had loads in.
Awesome.
So we'll have a couple of them.
Yeah.
And we'll see how much time we've got. This is from Anya, who's just joined the stream. She says, are there any perfect crimes? What are some of the silliest mistakes criminals make? I assume he has to research stuff for your crime novels. So did you do any research for your crime novels? And, did you find out anything that's kind of silly?
The research, I'm so squeamish, and I hate blood. So some of the stuff I've had to research, I sort of do. One of the not funniest, because I don't know if it is funny, but I needed to find out about how a bullet would act. So I watched this American guy test out as many guns as you could think of shooting this pig. I was already, taken from a butcher's or whatever. So, but just the way he'd shoot, and there'd also almost be no emotion. He'd just be like, well, that, and sort of poke a bite. I just thought it's the strangest YouTube video I've ever come across. So yeah, some of the stuff I've seen, I'd never want to see again. Silly mistakes. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure there's loads of forensic stuff that people have got wrong, but really, you could write. People don't want to know about the ins and outs. They want to get the story, and they want to sort of see that you've done a bit of, you know what you're talking about, and I think they can trust you not to do anything ridiculously silly. So I don't think I've fallen into that trap yet, but who knows? There could be someone that spotted something utterly ridiculous.
So Chris, with your, what attracted you to write such a strong character in Erika? Because I've read a lot of crime, but it's very rare that you have a strong female lead such as Erika, from my own personal experience and what I've read. So what made you go with that decision?
I think it almost wasn't conscious. I'd been reading Olivia Kiernan's books, and she's an incredible author, and Vanda Simon, who's an author from New Zealand, and they both have female leads. And I think just from that, Erika sort of appeared. So it was never sort of a thing like, what should it be? Who should she be? She kind of just appeared one day, and I thought, well, I may as well go with it and see. And then obviously you work on the back and things like that. And I was talking to a book group last night, and they said who would play her. And I've sort of said Emily Blunt in the past, but actually in my head, I've got no idea what she looks like, which I thought was weird. But actually, talking to other authors, they sort of feel the same way. What about you? When you write a character, how do you do it? Do you plan it all out, or do you kind of see how they flesh themselves out?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the shoe's on the other foot now. But no, I feel like they just come naturally. And they'll be tapping away in my brain for a little bit, and they'll flesh themselves out. Yeah, that's how it's worked for me so far.
Yeah. With me, one of the issues I had when I looked into the audiobook was I had such an impression of that character visually and vocally that I struggled to find the right voice for a long time. So I'm completely opposite to that. So I'd wish it was a lot easier in that respect, because I take ages to name a character, and then it goes way too. Are you good with names, or is that something that kind of comes naturally as well?
I think names is the hardest part. I sort of flick through Twitter and think, whose names can I pair up? It literally became in the first book as well, because I thought it might not go anywhere. There's a guy at my work called Sean Corain, and one of the main characters is called John Corain, and they look exactly the same. So that's how lazy I am.
It's amazing that some people. This was a comment group that I kind of noticed the other day as well, and they said the same thing, that someone said, "Oh yeah, I always name people in my characters after people I know," and they said, "Oh, do you do this as well?" And I was like, completely not. There is not one person in my book that has the same name as someone I know in real life, in like close quarters anyway, and I just do it. So,
otherwise you get people like John going around going, "I'm in a book."
Yeah. He loves it.
Cool. Yes, Vince has left a question. He said, in Manchester in the 80s, going back to Manchester here, Chris, there were many corrupt coppers protecting organized crime by intelligence sharing with them. So he meant that you mentioned that they'd have tip-offs for raids and that sort of thing. He said, how prevalent is that in the UK? Is that still happening? It's still happening over South Africa. Were you aware of any of this how much detail you got into? I imagine it kind of probably still does happen.
Yeah, I'd love to know the facts behind that. Like so I'm sure there must be people that get into it for the wrong reasons, but yeah, I'd really love to know. Maybe that's a bit of research. Maybe that's the next thing.
Inside job.
Yeah.
Cool. So Chris, I mentioned before briefly your books reminded me of sort of that Elmore Leonard vibe. What first attracted you to crime, and why did you want to write in that genre?
I think I only really read crime. It's I started reading when I was quite young, and obviously went through like the stages, Harry Potter, and then read a lot of non-fiction about footballers and different sports people, and then kind of settled on crime after uni. And obviously, like, I don't just limit it myself, but it's the main thing that I write. So it was read. So it was kind of the thing that I knew the best. I've tried to think, like, what else would I write? And I really don't think I could do justice to anything else. Maybe it's because I haven't read enough of it, but I just think those stories that are so beautifully written, I don't know. I think I just cried the whole way through writing it.
So let's go back to basics now and have a look, because we normally do this at the start of the show, but for some reason we jumped into in a lot of depth of what your books are about now. But where was the driving force behind your inspiration in terms of writing in the first place? Did you read a lot when you were younger, or was this something you kind of developed, I guess, like, writing skills in university or anything like that?
Yeah, I was always a reader. I used to read they were like Hardy Boys books, which I did a thing last year about sort of how I got into reading, and I hadn't thought about them since primary school, really. They were amazing. They're like adventure books, probably not politically correct anymore, but I think I read like a lot of it had to be changed. But at the time, like, just the sense of like those two lads were like going down a waterfall on one page and then like on a car chase the next page. So I loved them. And then in my early teens, I got into Chuck, and I can never pronounce his name, Palahniuk.
Yeah. I talk about him. I pronounce his name wrong often, but I say Palahniuk. I just go with it.
Let's go with that.
Typical teacher thing of, if I say it with confidence, it's right.
I thought that's how you're actually called now, because you said it so much.
Yeah, I just go Palahniuk. Boom. There we go. Got it out there.
Lovely.
But yeah.
So I thought I was like cool reading him, when you're like, you're walking around with sort of him tucked under your arm with the name poking out, so that people are like, oof, he's ahead of his time. So
when you tell me it's not cool to read him, because if you do, I'm really disappointed, because I still do that.
No,
I still think it's great.
But with music, I'd like pretend to like the different kind of music that I wasn't into to try and impress people. But
yeah, I think everyone. Yeah, if you haven't done that at some stage in your life, you're lying, aren't you? So yeah, so that was grittier, obviously, than like Harry Potter. And that was the sort of gateway into the sort of crime. I went through a phase of just reading Richard Montanari, who I've not read in years, but he was like dark, and I think that's sort of where it started. And then after uni, Hardy Boys were great. And then it was just crime from then. And I think like there's loads of publishers at the minute that are just putting out great stuff. And there's never enough time to read everything. So yeah, it's a good time.
When you look at sorry, Chris. When you look at apart from the amount of amazing books that are coming out still with crime, the true crime podcasts are like the biggest podcasts around, and there's hundreds of them, and they're just absolutely nailing the listens and things like that. So true crime is something that everybody kind of relates to in some way or the other. Why do you think it's such a big thing even now that people kind of want to relate to this or have some experience they relate to with it?
I think people are just fascinated with death in a way, like or the maybe not even death, maybe like the human condition, almost like how and why these people have done such horrible things. I mean, I was reading the thing about today where Trump has sort of like well, not him personally, but the guy was executed for having quite a minor role in something all those years ago. And I don't know, like in my head, there's the two sides, isn't there? Like obviously what Trump's done is horrendous, but you know, almost was it justified? And I haven't read enough to make a decision, but I think I listened to something a while ago called S. Was it S Time? It was like from the same people that made Serial. And it was just amazing. It was this guy, like sort of a crank caller almost, said the sheriff in town is like sort of a bent copper and he's murdered someone. You need to come out and sort of research it. And it turned out, I don't think it was true in the end, but this guy was just like, had lived this life. So they sort of focused on him and it was brilliant. And that was like sort of my first true crime thing. And then since then I've loved them.
So Chris, talking about true and real life sort of events, I can almost imagine you at St. Paul's with a notepad, just looking around, taking everything in before you actually start writing. Is that what the process is like for you, or are you just basically writing from memory and things that you've seen in Manchester, or do you take that a step further and go out and be immersed in the city when you're writing?
No, the only reason I've really been to Manchester is for gigs, really. And obviously it's not been for a while. So I think there's the bit where they're walking down near the arena and it's like there's a pub, and it was kind of mixed a little bit, but no, I sort of just make it up, and obviously there are bits where it is like Manchester and I've sort of looked at a picture, but I've not really been in the city that much. I'd say probably, well, for gigs, yeah, that's really the only reason. So if it's near a gig or a venue, that's sort of the places I know. I can make my way around with it like a Google Maps on.
What sort of gigs? What gig is this?
Anything rock really. The last one I went to was Blossoms in the Ritz.
Oh, so going to view a gig, not actually partaking in one.
Oh no.
All right. I thought, okay, secret second job there. Yeah. So looking at this was a question actually. You touched on it earlier, Chris. The fact that your main character is a female. Why did you decide to go with that? And was it a conscious choice, or was it something that just kind of happened?
Yeah, it just kind of happened. And I think it was because I was reading those books with like really strong female characters. And she just kind of appeared. And my worry was there's a Twitter account called like Men Writing Women, which is where people have noticed like horrendous things that men think women think or do. And my biggest fear was ending up on there for something I'd written. But luckily people have said I've done, a good job, which I've...
Oh, you've muted yourself again, Chris.
I'm going to take my hands away. Yeah, I don't know what it says about me if I feel... Because I started writing something a bit different. I finished the third Erika, and that's coming out sometime March or April. And I tried to write something with the main character, and I just could not get into the headspace, which is really a strange thing.
So, Chris, as we've mentioned briefly already, you had A Wash of Black come out at the start of the year, and then you've got two books coming out almost within a few months of each other. So you're quite prolific. Obviously, you're working as well. What's your writing process like, and how do you find the time to fit it all in?
Yeah, I've got next year. I've got 5 novellas out, and then the full Erika one. So, I work in the day. My kids go to bed, and they're really, really good. I've got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and they go to bed pretty regularly at like 7. And then I kind of spend from about 7 till 9 writing. And again, my books are quite short in comparison. Like, I've never broached more than about 67,000 words. So they're quite short. And again, the first one took, I think, 7 or 8 months. Whispers in the Dark took about 4 months, and then the edits after that. But I try to aim for like 1,000 words a day, and then it's but about 65, 67 days. Then, stuff can get in the way. But generally, I've sort of get that clear 1,000 words, and then I'm happy.
Chris, time for the staple questions, I believe you like to call them.
Oh yeah, the staple writing community chat show questions. So if you've seen any of the shows before, you might have prepped yourself a little bit for this. But the first one is, if you could take anybody's character that isn't your own in fiction, and you could do what you want with it, which character would it be and why?
Ooh, at the minute, it would be Tilly from Mike Craven's books. I think she is. Have you read them?
I've read one of Mike Craven, but now my memory is going to fail me slightly.
Yeah, she's like an amazing computer analyst. She's autistic, and she is incredible. Like, because I think he's very good at doing characters, Mike, and Poe's amazing as well. But Tilly she can say what she wants, and it's sort of like she doesn't get that it's going to create an awkwardness and I don't think I could do her justice. So I could take her and put her into one, and then maybe ask Mike to write her still. But yeah, if I could have her, I'd take her.
Nice. So the way you said Mike, then it's almost like you do have that sort of relationship, because obviously you do a podcast as well. And if you want to mention that, feel free. But you do a podcast, and you've had quite a few writers on there. So do you have like any relationships outside of like writing who you contact and you speak to in the crime writing world?
I think it's a really friendly community, and we've done a weekly show since the start of lockdown. I think it was the first week, so I think we're on episode 37. People are so kind with their time, and he's blurbed both of my books, and his words are on the cover of my second one. There's so many people that I've not met any of them in the flesh apart from Rob Parker and my publisher, which 2020. But there's some that like we've got a little group of them on WhatsApp and stuff. So yeah, I think it's a really friendly community. But yeah, I really can't wait for the 2021 festivals, and I set with cross fingers that they all go ahead, because of me, everyone.
If obviously this all works out and we can get to 2021 festivals, what would be your tick list? What would be the one for you? I want to get this one done.
Probably Harrogate, because I think that the only crime festival I've been to is Morecambe and Vice, and it was a really, really good one. And it was the day after I signed my contract, so it was like I was sort of like, my publisher was saying, go and talk to people and get them to stuff, and I was just sat there so nervous, and I was like, these people, like I'm not the same as them. But probably Harrogate, and it's up the road a bit. And then Bloody Scotland. The other reason I wrote a book was so that I could play in the Bloody Scotland crime writers football match. Wow. So that's like and it's a sad goal to have, but I really want to go and play at it.
Definitely have at least a podcasters football match going, right?
Say again, sorry?
We should have a footballers podcast.
Yes. I'll take that, yeah.
And a few beers. So the other half of the question Chris asked earlier was, if you could take the ending of any book and sort of change it, adapt it, or do what you want with that ending, what book would that be?
That's a great question. Noelle Holton often ends hers on a cliffhanger, which I love. But sometimes I just really want to know, like, maybe not change it, maybe just have, like, you know, like a big The Stand sized book of, you know, if she could just save everything that she's written and just put it all out in one. Because the cliffhangers, I mean, she's an incredible writer. Yeah, the cliffhanger, like, I do love a cliffhanger, and I understand, you know, why she does it. But if I could just know what's happening right this instant, that would make me happy.
So for a reader, is a cliffhanger that is kind of a really good, intense cliffhanger a good thing or a bad thing at the end of a book when you know that might not be another one for a few months?
Months, I think. Change that to years.
Yeah.
Some aspects.
You guys on the chat, a cliffhanger, yes or no? Do you like it when you have a good cliffhanger? You're like, oh, I can't believe that. But then,
mate, why are you doing this to me? My last book ended in a cliffhanger.
Both of mine.
Everyone's like, no.
Yeah, I think as a writer, you feel powerful because you're like, well, I know what's going to happen, or I'm going to figure out what happens. Yeah. And then, yeah, readers are sort of left in the dark.
I know what cliffhangers are. I'm just saying, do you like them or not? Usually not. Yes, no. That's a really mixed response on the chat there. Yeah, no, I'm the same, Chris. You leave them hanging.
Ross just commented no, but he left a section in his book that was a little sneak peek of the next book, and then he didn't write it for 10 years. So I'm pretty annoyed by that, Ross, to be honest.
Is excessive. That's a long time waiting for a cliffhanger.
That is.
Yeah.
Okay. Chris, if you finish off with the morbid question, we'll move on to the
this is the morbid question, Chris. So you're on your grave, you're a few minutes away from death, and you're looking back at just your writing career at this moment in time. You're not thinking about your family, you're just thinking about your writing career. What does success look like for you, and what are you happy with? Go on.
Why are you saying, why is he dying on his grave?
Well, he's dying and he's on. Well, you never know. He could be in St. Paul's Cathedral and just about ready to drop in the space.
1 foot in.
Yeah, I'm ready. Right, guys. Yeah, this is me now. I'm going to get comfy.
Literally 1 foot in the grave.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's a nice way to brighten up the morbid question. Success. That's an amazing question. To me, when I put out my first book, I said if one person read it, that would be a success, because you know, I'm just like nobody, and for people to take the time. I mean, reading a book when there's millions of them and taking a chance on like an unknown is a massive thing. So I mean, numbers and lists and everything are amazing, but I just think if you have made a connection with people, I think that's success. And I think obviously there are varying degrees of that, but I just think, you know, if somebody's taken time to read it and enjoyed it and left you, and you sort of form that relationship, then I think that's really cool.
Do you have a plan just on that? Do you have a plan for Erika? Like, do you have a set number of books in mind, or?
Not the third one's coming out, and I thought I quite like things in threes, but I haven't left it in, you know, like that's it now. So, and then I went on to write something else, and I sort of made this new detective, and I was sort of 12,000 words in, and I really missed her when I got my edits back for 3, and I thought I don't know if I'm done with her yet. So I keep going back and thinking, actually, because it's written in present tense and first person, and obviously that's most stuff's written in third person past, so I thought I'd like to go at that, and I was really enjoying it. But then I thought, you know, I sort of know this character inside out and people are enjoying her, so it almost felt like, is it a silly thing to do?
So what have your publishers had to say about that? Because obviously that you've had success with them for the first 2 books, and obviously from I mean, I can't speak for them, but I'm assuming from their point of view they would want that to continue and carry on, because that's where you've built up your sort of fan base, and you know that is a good source of sort of income for them in a sense. So how have they approached that with you?
He's been amazing. I mean, Red Dog is pretty much a one-man band, and it's Sean Coleman, who's an incredible author himself, and I think he really values the the creative process. So when I was sort of talking to him about it, he was like, yeah, have a go, see what you think. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And he's been so supportive. So yeah, I've sort of seen like on Twitter people saying like they've looked into it or they've got deadlines and stuff. He's pretty cool with all that stuff, and I'm fine as well with getting it on the time or whatever. But he just knows as an author himself how it feels and what it is. So he's the coolest guy about it. So yeah, he's just said spread your wings and see what happens.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's move on to the next part of the show. Otherwise, we'll run out of time. And we don't want to do that, do we, Chris? Do you want the video?
Is this the family member or the questions?
This is the questions.
You missed a family member. Have you not got a family member?
My family member?
No.
Yeah.
So what they're going to be doing?
Just bring them on screen. No, this is question time first. Where is the sacrifice human circle of death? Halo, don't stress, it's coming. Don't stress. No, writing community question time. We've only got a couple of questions and we'll skip on, so don't stress. Do you want the video, Chris?
Yeah, obviously.
Question time?
Yeah.
I have got a new one for you in a minute, though.
Oh, God. Here we go. Bring the question time on.
Okay. Question time. So let's do the question time. So this is the part of the show where we have a couple of questions in from the community, sometimes a bit silly, more often than not silly. If you have questions in the chat, please send them in. I did put some of those in here already. So if you want to send some, please do so. First one, we can all answer this, Chris, and Chris. So what would be the worst letter to choose from your keyboard, or to lose from your keyboard? That's one part of 3 questions. So, okay, if you had to lose a letter from your keyboard, which letter would that be? These are from Ross.
If we had to, or what would be the worst?
Yeah, if you had to lose one, if you had to pick one.
Oh, if I had to pick one, Z would be the obvious one.
No, hang on. Sorry, I rephrased that. He said, what would be the worst?
Yeah.
It's
got to be a vowel, hasn't it? I mean, from a selfish point of view, losing C would be like losing part of my identity. So, I mean, I could end most emails with C, and like that might work. So,
we can't lose C because the writing community chat show would be the writing.
The WS, which could be anything.
So exactly. So can't lose that one. Yeah, we don't be Harris.
We would be Harris. It sounds like a Greek god, that, to be fair. Not a great one, to be honest, but it does sound like it could fit in there.
Are we cumulatively agreeing on C? Yeah? Oh, yeah. Cool.
I mean, we are all... I mean, C is a big factor if you just look at the beginning of our names. Like, losing it would be...
And it might force us into having, like, making up nicknames, so this would be less confusing.
Yeah. What did Halo say then? The god of what?
The god of outlet covers. Chris with a K. We could be just calling him the Chris with a K.
No, that's sacrilege, that. Chris with a K. Like... I've never met a Chris with a K, but if I did, I guarantee it'd be my arch nemesis.
Yeah,
the knockoff version.
Yeah, definitely.
I knew one, but he was in the band, so it's cool. So Clint Hill, at Clint Hill, I'm not going to read those numbers out, it's too many. Writing question, without looking it up yet. So someone can look this up in the chat and let us know if it's real. Does the word reckon have its origins from the word reconcile?
Ooh. I'm going to say yes.
I mean, I think this might be a trick question because it sounds like it does, but I'm going to say no, just because then one of us is right.
I'm going to go with yes as well because I'm stupid and I think so. So please look that up on the chat and let us know who's right. Okay. Only one Chris can survive. Who prevails and how?
Ooh.
The question is, Ross unleashed an army of bloodthirsty, bodiless brains that have latched onto Mario for his beautiful singing voice. The only way to save our beloved Mario is to slaughter 2 Chris's. Which 2 get slaughtered?
Well, I mean, your show has to go on, doesn't it? And I'm a bit part here, so I will gladly sacrifice myself so that your show can go on. So,
and I will join Chris in sacrificing myself for the hope that one day, Chris, that you show your guns to everyone, because that's the real reason everyone's tuning in every week, to see your guns at some point.
I sat there staring at 2 dead bodies and thinking this stream's going to go on forever.
Yeah.
That would be a great show, and it'd get hundreds of thousands of hits, because it'd be like, right, like Big Brother House, day 3, no one's picked the Chris's up off the floor yet.
Yeah. And if they wrote that in an article, this is just from a very selfish perspective, but Chris's, can we address the plural of Chris's right now, please? Yeah. Because I see it so many times. And you don't need that extra S. You don't need it.
Yeah, but in my mind it does.
No, you don't need that extra S.
To be fair, Chris is a guest, so the other hosts should sacrifice themselves.
Yeah, we would sacrifice ourselves for our guests. That should be our tagline. We will sacrifice ourselves for our guests.
Yeah, that's really good. You get loads of people on. The only thing with that is, though, I mean, Chris, where you are on my screen, you seem pretty good at the computery stuff.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
If without you two, it would be me sitting here, sort of just having nothing.
Yeah.
People would watch that. Did you see that video where that girl studied for an hour in silence and people watched it?
Yeah, it was on Newsroom today.
Yeah, it's like 8,000 people watched it. I'm like, really? She just
sums up Twitch. That's all
it does. But then I thought, should I stream myself writing and just like?
I wonder where you're going with that then, Chris.
No, but just writing your novel, like, this is how I write a novel, and then you just literally ignore everyone for an hour and it goes viral.
Literally on Twitch, there are people that sleep in their beds, filming themselves, just sleeping, and people watch it.
That is freaky.
The world is an odd place, isn't it?
It is very much so.
I mean, the only reason you might watch it is in case a ghost crops up in the background, but other than that, that's just insane.
That's hopefully reaching, definitely. So there's no more questions from the chat show. Do you know what? The writing community is great and it's wonderful. This is why we do the show. Love it. I searched for writing questions on Twitter for an hour earlier and found one. There were so many. There's so much shit on there, let's be honest. But like, question for the writing community, like, there was none, and it was like, this is terrible. So that's why we only had one.
You should have put in that writers CAF hashtag, because people go. And have you seen the 5 a.m. Writers Club? Like, has anyone been a part of that ever?
No. Is this like a CD thing, or is this?
No, it's like people who get up at 5 o'clock just to write because they don't have time in the rest of the day. I mean, I love reading and I love writing as much as the next person, but 5 o'clock is a massive sacrifice in my opinion. Better. Yeah, especially when you got kids.
It wasn't just me thinking that. Halo, I thought the same. But why? Surely it wouldn't be 5 in the morning.
It's like the Mile High Club.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be a weird one, but
I was in the 5 a.m. club for a long time, says Mario. Is that true? Yeah. I don't know that. I don't know. Mario can make that up. Okay, so just to cheer up Halo, here we go.
Yes.
It's a great song.
Yes. So new family member, as always, each week. Yes, Death. Yes, Death. We are gonna. This is kind of a fun part of the show, Chris, where we kind of plague someone with tweets, GIFs on Twitter. So, is there something in particular that you would like us to GIF that person? And accumulatively across the show, people will go on Twitter right now and send a GIF of your choice to them.
Wow, that's a lot of fire.
Any subject at all. We've had dry shampoo, we've had jellyfish.
We had Britney Spears in her Britain's Got Talent moment from Luca Vesti.
Nice. One of my most used one is, do you remember Wagner from X Factor?
Oh, yes.
There's one where he's sort of saying, like, you're the best. And I sort of feel like he's lost his time in the light, so maybe it's time to give that back.
Yeah, definitely.
I love that. Yeah. Okay. So this person is called Graham Morse at Graham Morse 5. So if you find him on Twitter, Chris, much traveled Wiltshire-born author, now living in the Caribbean. Yes. First crime fiction novel, Fatal Fix, available now. Nice little plug on his Twitter feed as well.
Oh, I did find him.
Yeah. Excellent stuff.
Yeah.
So if you could find him, guys, on Twitter, please say love from the WCCS or whatever you want to do. Just name drop us so he knows that there's some sort of connection.
I love how everyone's doing this at the moment.
Does he know that this is coming, or is this literally out of the blue for him?
Yeah, this is out of the blue.
I
love how, like, to celebrate Christmas, people just, I mean, you can't see it there. It's in the corner of his book, a little tiny, tiny piece of holly. So that's how you Christmas advertise. Just put a bit of holly in the corner, it's fine.
I haven't done that, Chris. I've not put together a I don't know.
No, I haven't either. I don't think people want to read about death at Christmas with my novel, because it is literally called Death, Just Grin and Bear It. So I don't think that's the best Christmas message. I'm not expecting any sales.
By the way, guest Chris, how do you spell Wagner?
Wagner.
Or like Wagner?
Yeah, Wagner. And then it just comes up with like, "You are the best."
You're the best.
And he started blowing kisses. And what we just sent this to him like cold.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah. Just say welcome to the family or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I might buy his book just to say, like, you know, it's not a weird thing that we're doing here.
No, definitely better. Cool. So hopefully he'll have a nice welcome. He does follow the show now, which he didn't earlier. So that's a good thing. Multi-listen. What have I missed here? Department meeting. Wow, there's a conversation going on that I'm not aware of. So, okay, hit Chris, my new video. Are you ready for this? And on the chat as well.
Oh,
do you want
God.
yes or no? Let
Go
me know.
on.
Well, I feel bad because the last time I did a new video without discussing it with you, you kind of disapproved.
Yeah, it was a weirdly sexual one, that's why.
I had only replaced a sexual body with a weird head. It wasn't that weird. Anyway, so here it is. Let me know, guys, what you think of this.
I like that. Good,
Nice,
good
yeah,
use of the intro bang.
Intro bang. This is a weird intro bang. I feel like I was talking in class. Okay.
I can't find this Wagner gif anywhere. Maybe I'm putting the wrong thing in.
Okay. So this is a little game called Guess the Year, and if Chris Hooley's not paying attention, you could probably win this.
I am paying attention. I'm trying to do the family member thing. Go on.
So I got 10 books that are from a year, a specific year, and all you have to do is, where are you from, Chris? Guess. Sorry.
Northern Ireland.
Is there a saying there that's kind of funny?
I say cow, pretty funny.
Oh, please. Okay. If you would like to guess the year, you've got to say cow, because I love that. Chris Hooley, what should we make you say this week? Vince, we haven't started. You cannot start guessing. That's just ridiculous. Chris, please say, I don't know. Is there a Mank saying?
I don't know.
No?
Gan. No, it's Geordie in it. If I start with Gan.
Gotcha.
You know what really confuses me? Sorry, just to go off on a point. When people from Manchester are going into Manchester and they say, "We're going to town."
Yeah,
so
that's
it's a little quirk that I've picked up.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. But I mean, it's weird because my partner is from Rochdale, and when she says I'm going into town, she means Rochdale Town Centre, and I'm like, no, that's not town. That's we're going into Rochdale.
Yeah,
you're going into town. You're going into Manchester. That's how it works.
Ducky.
Yeah.
Ducky.
Just say Ducky.
I mean,
not a word.
Yeah, I'll say Ducky. It's fine.
Okay, that's fine. So the first book we've got is, and on the chat you can play this game, but don't give it away, and no cheating. Roses Are Red by James Patterson.
No one's read that. Come on, it's James Patterson.
His co-writer has.
Halo is not correct. Me Talk Pretty One Day by David Sedaris.
No.
I don't know.
A couple of close ones, but no, on the chat. On the Bridge, The Bright Side, I'm Now the Girlfriend of a Sex God by Louis Gibson. I don't know about that.
Great.
That's a good read.
Is that just a statement and not a book?
I don't know. Maybe it's a review. We have had a correct answer, but it is not that one because that is a bit vague. We've had 2 correct answers. Okay, The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell. You can have a guess if you like. Actually, don't guess unless you don't know. Confessions of a Shopaholic.
Ooh, that's like early 2000s then, isn't it?
I haven't heard it called.
Ducky, 2003.
Incorrect. Is there a cow in there?
2000 a cow. In fact, the saying should be "How now, brown cow." My granny used to say that all the time. 2000 and what did you say?
I said 2003.
2002.
Incorrect. The Truth by Terry Pratchett.
I thought no idea.
Dude, Terry Pratchett confusing. There's so many of them.
Mark Danilowski. I have this book. It's crazy.
Yeah, I did. It's
like that thick, and it's got like notes and weird dots and shit on the page.
Yes. There was another one of his that I bought because of Biffy Clyro, which you had to read like 7 pages at the front, then go to the back and read 7 pages, and it was like the story in reverse. Only Revolutions.
T-shirt on Wednesday. Literally had it on. Angels and Demons, Dan Brown.
Ooh, cow.
Yes, go on.
2005.
Incorrect. We have 2 left. That's it. And the chat have had it right quite often.
Ducky, 2004.
Incorrect. It's the Storm of Schwartz.
Cow.
Go.
2000.
Yeah, we have a winner.
Wounded.
And there's only one left. There was a couple on the chat there that got it right. That was an aggressive Ducky.
Ducky.
Brandon got it after about a load of guesses, and you got it early on. Who had it early? Oh, just Anya.
Yeah, 2 minutes before us. That's impressive. Or else we're just dreadful.
The last one in that was Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, also in 2000, which was the answer. So well done, Chris Guest. Chris, did you win last Friday with this, or did you lose it?
I can't remember. Can I claim victory? Because it wasn't last week, it was 2 days ago. So can I claim victory against Luca Vesti?
Yeah, he's not here to put up a fight, is he?
He won't contest. So.
Luca, because we play it on a Friday, so...
right. No, it was Louise. Yeah, I remember playing against Louise.
And did Louise win?
For all intents and purposes, I'm going to say no.
If you can remember... because we'll keep tabs with this, because Chris must have lost last week too, I reckon.
Thanks. Because these are really obscure books. Like, out of all the books on there, I probably read 1, maybe 2. 2 at the end, obviously, with Harry Potter.
It's not my fault. Okay, there's a tiebreaker question that we don't need, but it's kind of a fact. So if you guys want to guess the number, we'll have a little game of this.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Ever printed is how many words?
Do we have to say Kai?
Yeah. Does this include like stream of consciousness where they don't do anything and they don't put punctuation in and they just keep going?
I don't remember if she won, but I remember Chris basically kicking her off. Now that is uncalled for.
Yeah, you did kick her off, Chris. You were like, okay, bye. You actually did this movement.
The most shameful thing of my podcasting career.
And I was like, no.
And it's not that number. So have you guys got a guess?
There's I'm good, like 200,000.
Oh, and a sentence.
Because there's that Ducks Newbury port that's a full book and it's only one full stop right at the end.
Yeah.
Well, maybe this has changed since this was written then.
You do have weird books like that where they literally don't put any punctuation. It's like just off you go. There you go.
Chris,
They say it's art, but to be honest, that's just lazy. Like that's cutting out the editing process and just like, yeah, this is a stream of consciousness. This is a movement. Like, no, you just couldn't be bothered putting in the punctuation.
Maybe she lost her full stop key. Maybe that's a good one to lose, because then you do come out as like arty and artistic, and you get awards.
This book is not worth 99p. It's worth 999p or whatever that may be. Crazy. I'm going to say 120,000 words.
Wow, you lot are way off, according to this. But we've been known to have loose facts on this show before, so it might not be true. Okay, apparently the longest sentence ever printed is 823 words. It's a legit sentence, apparently, that exists in Victor Hugo's Les Miserables.
Wow.
Of course, Victor Hugo was responsible for that sentence.
Why do you say that?
Have you seen the size of that book?
No.
If all these sentences are 820 odd words, then I can believe it, because it's like this. It's huge. It's just you could kill someone with that book.
Yeah,
like, quite easily.
Mario big.
It's massive.
That book is so bloated. Apparently it's big. Anya said that many words, which is.
I won't know what his editor was thinking at the time. Like, maybe he was just drunk. Just let it slip.
Long last book, and I love this. We've recently started streaming on Twitch as well, which is we're just trying to figure it out. But Anya said long ass book, and then Streamlabs just told her off. Please refrain from using foul language. That's fantastic. So please don't swear, Anya, because they get told off by Streamlabs, even though we don't mind at all, honestly. Wow. Okay, so Chris, I think Hooli was closer to that number.
Yeah, I'll give him that one.
Only by 120,000, but yeah. That's
kind of messed it up now, because we've both got a 1-1 situation, which shouldn't have happened because without a tiebreaker. But Chris Guess wins anyway, so Chris could.
Yeah, Chris Guess wins because getting the 2000s was. I think I obviously I got 2004, but I think I'd have probably gone. I wouldn't have got that for a while. So yeah.
Well, what we've got to look forward to. Pie from Anya. Is she doing maths? What's going on?
Yeah, she was doing maths with the 3 point.
Right, that's what it was.
Pie. Yeah.
Okay. So what to look forward to in the next couple of weeks? Well, we're very much nearing the end of 2020, which I don't think anyone can complain about the fact they were getting towards the end. On the 23rd, which is 2 weeks Wednesday, is our Christmas party, which will be kind of bonkers. So we have Wednesday next week, the 15th, we've got a show. The Friday, we've got a show. And then the 23rd, we will have the Christmas party. And then we'll have a little kind of... We won't have a break, because we're going to pre-record a show with one of our YouTube fellow guests, fellow YouTubers, which we'll release on the 26th. And then we'll start season 4 in the new year, which we're very much looking forward to. And that'll start on the 6th of January. And I think it's going to go very quickly.
Can we announce the guests that we've got coming on now? Or
yeah, if you want to. Why not?
I was asking you because I can't remember.
You're asking the guy with the worst possible memory in the world. I would have to, if you want to chat for a minute, I can find the list.
Yeah, I mean, this does tie in well, because I was literally just going to say to Chris, where can people find your books and all that good stuff?
Yes, all the usual places. Because they're an indie publisher, it obviously helps if sort of sales go direct through them. They come beautifully wrapped in like nice red wrapping paper and stuff. So it's if you can buy direct through Red Dog Press, then that'd be cool.
Perfect for Christmas. I mean,
absolutely. You don't have to do your own wrapping.
Exactly. And I was thinking about this before. Obviously, if you bought a bundle of books from Red Dog Press and gave it to people at work, maybe you could read it over Christmas, come back, and then you've got a book club. Like, instead of talking the usual stuff like how much turkey did you eat, how much alcohol did you drink, how much weight did you put on, you could actually talk about something that was a bit meatier in terms of, Erika book 1 or 2.
Yes, that's a really good, do what Chris says.
Yeah, definitely.
Is there a website as well that you've got that you can look into?
Really, just on Twitter. I'm so lo-fi that websites have gone past me. So on the Red Dog Press website, that's where the books are, and then Twitter. I don't even know my own CMAC writes crime. I think
it is something like that because I had to find you earlier and it was confusing me. It was CM.
Yes, and
right, CMAC, yeah.
And that's confused a lot of people. Yeah, there's no A in my name, but I set up a blogging thing a few years ago called Mac Reviews Books, and put an A in, and since then people have thought my name's McDonald. So I've shot myself in the foot slightly.
Okay, so I have the list, Chris Hooley, if you'd like to listen. Or all of you can listen if you like. I mean,
I'm all ears. Go on.
No, okay, so there's not much of a list because we've only got a couple of shows left of this year, and it's kind of, for us, very much like yourself, Chris, we started this show at the start of lockdown, basically. We were a podcast, basically just podcast, and then we moved into the visual world. So in the, I want to say 8 or 9 months that we've been going, we've come so far. And when we have our Christmas special, we'll have a look into that and talk about that. And it's going to be quite probably overwhelming, the fact that how much we've done. So we've only got a couple of shows left. And Wednesday, the 16th, which is this week, we have Adam Christopher coming on the show. He has written a lot of things, but he's done a lot of work for like the Star Wars world and that sort of comic graphic.
I feel like he is going to be a very big name in the not so distant future, but we can't talk about that thing.
He is, but that's going to be fantastic. On Friday the 18th, we have Cheryl Brown coming on.
We do. She wrote a great book actually called Trust Me. I read that recently and that was really good. So I'm looking forward to getting her on. If you like sort of like those high octane sort of thrillers where it's just literally a page turner, quite literally. She is definitely great at doing that. She's mastered that. So it'd be good to speak to her.
So that's next week, just those 2 shows, and then after that is a Christmas show. So there's only next week left, and then there's a Christmas show. And then on the 26th, which is just kind of that weird time, just before New Year's, we're going to have a pre-recorded show with Marcus on YouTube. Someone actually shared his post earlier, so I know someone know about him. His YouTube channel is called The Idiot on the Writer's Block, and he's got this very cool, very basic approach to like, I'm an idiot, I don't know what I'm doing with writing, and I got all these authors on to tell me how to write a book, basically. And it's quite a cool channel. And Cadence Knight were on there like last week or the week before as well. So they've had some crossover guests as well. But he's going to come on and do a cool show with us in the 26th. And then it'll be the 4th of January, 4th or 6th of January we'll come back. So it's going to be gone before we know it this year. And thank God.
Nice. So Chris, I've got one more morbid question for you. And this is not for you. This is just somebody else is dying at this point. But people have only got time to read one of your books. Which book do you want them to read and why?
Oh, that's a great question. I'd say it's always best to start at the start. And it's sort of like choosing between your children, isn't it? I think
you can have a favorite. It's fine. We all do. We just don't say it after.
I think A Wash of Black sets it off nicely because it's obviously the first, and you find out a bit more about her. I think Whispers in the Dark shows it's almost better writing because I sort of knew what I was doing this time around. So A Wash of Black, go for the first one, and then hopefully the first one will lead you to the second one.
And when is your third book out? Do you know the date for that?
The novella is out the 12th. Yes, that one. Which the cover, I signed the contract on Wednesday, and he said the cover reveals on Friday. So it was brand new information to me this week. The first one is out the 12th of January. So a month tomorrow. I don't know what day it is.
What a treat that will be.
Yeah, and I mean they're short, and I mean 94 pages is like an hour and a bit, isn't it, of reading? So hopefully people enjoy it. It's a bit of a different side and a bit more fun.
I love the cover just by looking at it instantly. It reminded me of that Arthur Conan Doyle vibe. Looking at it straight away, I was like, "Yep, definitely."
I just think he's so talented.
Massively corrected me. Said 3,607 words by James Joyce, but not the longest according to Wikipedia.
Yeah, James Joyce is in that realm. Again, I can see that, but don't get your facts from Wikipedia, Vince. It's probably not the most reliable of sources.
The only site people from not on that website can just edit the information.
Yeah, to be honest, I feel like Vince may have edited that just to make a point.
It's the same number that you said, Chris. I don't know. Maybe he's trying to get you in the right zone. Anyway, right. So we got to say thank you very much to Chris. The one down there. Thank you so much for the show and talking with us. Fantastic. And by the way, your covers of your first two books, I absolutely adore. We didn't have a great look at them, but we will tweet them later for you.
Thank you.
I mean, if you've got them to handy, you can wave by with them now. If you've got them, that'd be a great. Oh, there we go.
I'm not going to move. There's like loads of cups behind them, so I'm not going to move them.
It's almost like it's meant to be.
Fantastic. Amazing.
Thank you to you two as well. It's been really, really fun, and it's a very cool thing you're doing in a very strange year. So thank you very much.
No, thank you. Thank you very much for coming on.
People say that this show has got them through the year. I think it's completely the other way around. They've got us through it. Otherwise, we would be in who knows. Anyway, so thank you guys, and we will see you on Wednesday for another show. And we can't believe how fast this year's going. So from the Chris, and the Chris, we say thank you and goodbye, and we'll see you very, very soon.
We do actually have a copy of Chris's book to give away. So if anyone's interested in winning that, just drop a link below. Just literally say win. We'll get in touch with you and we'll send you a copy of Chris's first book, because that's the one you recommended. We'll send that to you. So yeah, just get in touch, and now we can do that wave and goodbye moment. There we go. Bye.
Thank you.